Arash was a young boy who was occasionally given the freedom to be home alone. Most of the time, his parents didn't trust him with such a big responsibility and asked his grandma to come and babysit. But fortunately for him, he was given a chance, which he was every other week. You'd think his parents would have learned. Regardless, he was by himself one day when he heard the sound of one of his toys playing from the other room. Cautious, he decided to approach the scene, and this is what he came across.
Aku cakap last ni. Diamlah. Diamlah! Ingat aku takut. Kau nak ke kena buang tong sampah? Masuk dekat tong sampah, nak?
When he entered the room, his toy was on the floor doing its thing. However, nothing too wrong occurred, and Arash just assumed it was glitching. This would all change moments later though, when all sorts of objects started going wild for no reason whatsoever. Arash sprinted out of the room and closed the door between him and it behind him until his parents finally arrived home. They think he staged the video, but when you think deeper, why would he have done such a thing? He wanted to be left home alone, and all this did was force his parents against that decision. It was certainly the act of a spirit. It was a Tuesday night when DeMarcus was woken up by the alarming sound of the shower running. Annoyed, he quickly dressed into decent clothing whilst trying hard not to wake his wife up before going towards the bathroom. If it was one of his children, he was ready to ground them. He made it clear that their bedtime was 11 p.m., not 2 a.m. He gently tapped the door and asked who was inside, but received no response in return. He had to enter, except it was not what he expected standing behind the shower curtains.
Mire, mire. Mire, mire. Mire, miren eso ahí, cómo se entra. Es cosa mía. Mire, 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 mire. ¿Qué cojones? En el nombre de Jesús te reprendo. Me cubro con la sangre de Cristo. Mire, 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 mire.
Shockingly, nobody was in the shower, and it wasn't even turned on. This made so sense because the windows were clearly condensated, meaning that someone must have used it. But where were they? As well as this, the chain on the shower of which the water was meant to travel through started to move mysteriously, and this inflicted some serious confusion to DeMarcus. He wasn't done searching though. He ventured the entire house making sure that his family was safe, when suddenly he started to hear a repetitive knocking sound coming from a certain window. He went to check it out.
Tío, si aquí no pueden llegar. Miren esto. Está alto. Joder. ¿Qué mierda? ¿Qué es eso, tío? ¿Qué coño es eso? ¿Qué coño es eso?
At first, DeMarcus was completely baffled as to why all of this stuff was happening until he saw a figure through the window. This figure had clearly been causing the disturbances, and so DeMarcus was eager to find out what it was. He put on his socks and shoes and went outside, but to his dismay, there was nothing there. This Russian man set up alternating cameras in both the kitchen and the living room because he was convinced that his house was full to the brim with unholy spirits. He was so convinced that he actually visited his local church seeking for a priest who could perhaps help him with the situation. Unfortunately, there was not. You see, in order to have a priest come to bless your home of paranormal spirits, you must show concrete evidence that the place is haunted. Without this evidence, there is nothing they can do to help you out. The man in the following video was on a mission to obtain proof, and proof he obtained. From the singular crock to the books, it seemed that everything in the household was moving, bearing in mind that only 2 cameras were active, meaning that much more could have been happening in the other rooms. To my disappointment though, we must focus on the 2 rooms we have evidence for, and one thing becomes apparent in this next clip. Whatever on earth was haunting this house loved crocs, and I mean loved. Now for those of you wondering why the clip continuously cut, this was because the cameras kept on alternating and nothing was happening where the man was sleeping. Strangely, the crocs traveled from the shoe cupboard all the way to the room next to it in a matter of minutes. It is unknown why a spirit would decide to do something like this to someone, rather than moving stuff in front of them, and it left the poor man confused to say the least. What he did next was questionable though. He submitted the evidence to the priest and also posted it online. The reason for the online posting was far from expected though. He was attempting to sell the crocs to someone online, and their claim to fame was that they were haunted. Abandoned homes are some of the creepiest things ever because they come with a sense of emptiness and false security. Houses are meant to be a safe place for families to stay in, but when they are left untouched, all of this warmth and comfort is stripped away, and perhaps this is why they have such a tendency in becoming haunted. Anyways, that was too far, so let's get into the following clip. It took place at roughly 12:20 p.m. on a Monday night, and the cameraman was on his way home from work. On the way there, he claimed that he passed the abandoned house and nothing was up with it. This made what he was about to encounter ever more weirder. Have a look.
So this house, the first time we passed it, Chase said the bottom part was not blinking. It was on, but it wasn't blinking. See how the different lights are at different intervals? The kitchen light being on, and then in the fire room over there's a light that's going off and on. No one lives here. I think that no one lives here. No one lives here.
For some weird reason, all of the lights in the house were going crazy, and there is not a time in the world that you could convince me this was an electrical issue. The main reason being that the house was abandoned. Who on earth was paying the electricity bills in the first place? As well as this, each light was moving at a unique frequency which made things 100 times more disturbing for the driver. It is safe to say that he won't be paying that house another visit anytime soon. This woman does not have any children, please remember that. Now that you know this vital piece of information, we can get onto this clip. It took place in the house of Natasha, a single woman who was getting frustrated with life. She had always wanted a boyfriend, and was terrified that she wouldn't be able to experience the lifelong goal of raising a human. This wouldn't be the case after the upcoming clip. 7 p.m., October. For some awful reason, Natasha started to hear the laughter of a little child, and for understandable reasons paused the television and stood up. She was worried that someone had managed to get into the house, and if it really was a kid, then the stress of finding their parents would be very difficult. She turned a corner and saw a little kid peeking around at her, and she cautiously approached, in fear that she would frighten the poor soul. To her utter surprise, though, it disappeared in front of her very own eyes before bashing on the door. To this day, she still thinks of this event when hearing laughter, and the trauma is comparable to PTSD. The bad thing is that she can't get tested for it, because if she pulled up to the hospital saying she saw a baby disappear and is traumatized by it, the only thing they'd test her for is schizophrenia. The Midwest ghost hunter is a bloke known for his adventurous missions all across the nation with one goal in mind. He wants to prove that the paranormal world is real, defying all the sciences we have been taught. His real name is Derek, and in the video, you are about to see some highlights from. He was exploring, quoted, freaky haunted places, and little did he know that this would be one of his most active experiences of his career. The first clip took place on an old bridge that was used in ancient times to travel across a river. Unfortunately, the river had dried up over time and was no longer present on scene. Some of the people from that period were, though,
oh, whoa. What the? Whoa, that branch just moved. I might be going crazy, but I saw that branch over there start swaying back and forth. I know it's windy, but it isn't that windy. Okay, I gotta check this out. It was this one. Right here. That thing was just moving like crazy. I mean, it's one thing if like all of the brush was moving, but it was just that single one, isolated. How do you explain that? I mean, I don't know if like insects crawling on it, maybe? A bird? If you're a spirit and you just moved this tree here, could you move it again? No way! It just moved! I gotta look at this. This thing just moved again on command. And look at this. For all the skeptics out there, there is no fishing line, nothing. Uncut video.
The baby tree waved by itself as if it was in the middle of a hurricane for a solid 2 seconds. The strangest part was that no other bushes or trees around it did the same thing, making it very clear to Derek that a spirit was on the scene. He decided to beckon the spirit for a second showing to prove to the camera that he was truly encountering something unnatural, and it listened. Regardless, this was not close to the most terrifying experience of his night, and things only get more spooky as we go along. This next clip was explained to be his most believable encounter at the time, and even he was considering his life choices. Take a look.
Whoa, I think I got something in that one. I caught another one. Whoa, there's a freaking mist. right over here. And it's gone now. It's completely gone. Whoa. Holy moly, it was just right over here. And now it's completely gone. Who's over here? Could you tell me your name? Are you the lady that they talk about? I'm so sorry what happened to you. That's so tragic. Could you tell me how it happened? I got a weird feeling over here. I'm getting like a tingly feeling in my whole body. Whoa! I just heard a woman's voice. I couldn't tell what she said, but it sounded like it came from like under the bridge. Hello there. I heard you loud and clear. Are you underneath this bridge? I'm gonna try to get as far down here as I can. Hello?
In the distance, Derek was convinced he saw the mist of a spirit, and after going to investigate, it vanished. Now he initially planned on cutting this section out of the final piece because it wasn't convincing enough to be included. However, it was what happened afterwards that made sure it made the cut. The voice of a woman echoed around him, and he was unable to decipher what it actually attempted to say to him. Fortunately for him though, this was peak content, and aligned with his goal of proving the theory of an afterlife. Whatever that voice was, it most definitely wasn't owned by a human, considering where he was. This was only moments away from being further proved correct.
Doesn't help that my booster light is starting to die. I'm relying on my flashlight. I can hear you clanging around over there. Oh, what the f? Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, I'm freaked out. I'm freaked out. My booster light is dying. I'm on my last set of batteries. I think I had enough of this place. Oh, what the f? Oh my god! Oh, what the f? Oh my god! Oh god. What the f was that? She literally splashed in the water. Yeah, that's it. I'm good.
Inexplicably, the voice of the woman returned, and Derek swore to have seen somebody on the other side of the bridge. This, followed by the fact that a massive splash happened below the structure, finally sent the man into flight mode, and his exploration of this area was deemed as complete. These Japanese girls were in the school bathrooms messing around when something came to tell them off for skipping their class. Surprisingly, it was not a teacher. The time was 1 p.m. and the girls were meant to be studying maths for their exam coming up. However, they brought it upon themselves to go and hide in the girls' bathrooms, considering their tutor was a male. Smart, yet stupid. They were all messing around in there, enjoying their self-inflicted free time, when suddenly, everything started to go downhill. It's called karma. Weirdly, they started to hear a banging sound from one of the stalls, and they let their curiosity get the better of them. They climbed up the adjacent toilet to get a view inside the stall and check what was going on, but for some reason, nobody was inside. The girl jumped into the stall and unlocked it from the inside, to which her friends were very impressed. It was in the last second that the pale face of a spirit was captured though, and all the girls clambered out of the toilets to greet their teacher, who gave them a very pleasing welcome gift. Detention. The Cortez family were one of the most normal groups of people you could ever imagine. Nothing interesting ever happened in their life other than the odd outing, so they would be the last family you'd expect to see featured on this channel. In the following video, the father of the family was staying up late at night to do some work, when all of a sudden he felt something very off that he couldn't describe. In response to this, he decided to go and investigate downstairs, and what happened was unbelievable. It's important to note that the family was indeed religious and had a wall widespread with crosses for that reason. Whatever caused the following to happen likely hated that fact.
Vamos a ver qué sucede porque esto está muy cabrón. Ya todos están dormidos, a ver. No mames. Es una lámpara que tengo aquí. Se está moviendo bien cabrón. Están las cruces. Chinga. Vamos a ver qué sucede porque esto está muy cabrón. Ya todos están dormidos, a ver. No mames. Es una lámpara que tengo aquí. Se está moviendo bien cabrón. Están las cruces. Chinga.
Strangely, something from the cross display collapsed to the ground without warning, and nobody was there who could have triggered this to happen. Considering this was the act of a spirit, and it decided to tamper with a wall of religious art, it led the Cortez family to believe that they were being visited by a demon, but they never got any more evidence after that. Now, in a recent video on the channel, we delved into an adventure by Kareem, who somehow found himself in a terrible situation. To summarize, he had become lost and found himself at an abandoned building where he was continuously being led to this little girl's room. During his time inside this room, he had seen some very disturbing things, but none were quite bad enough to make him turn around and try to escape. He was given enough warnings. It was time to give Kareem the fright of his life.
Otra vez ruido en la pieza de mi hija. Podrido de los sonidos, los ruidos. Paren un poco, hijo, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué es eso? La concha de su madre. Yo había apagado la luz de ahí. Oh, esto me da muchísimo miedo.
The worst part about that piece of footage was most definitely the noises that the ghost was making. It was whimpering like a little girl, and like we debunked in the last video, this made perfect sense. All around the room were boxes with the name Rebecca on them, which made it very obvious that it used to be the room of a little girl. Perhaps the ghost haunting Kareem in this specific moment was that girl, but that's just a theory. After experiencing this, Kareem decided to take a step back and have a breather before he entered the building one last time. He wanted to gather as much evidence as possible about the place, and fortunately, he managed to get a tiny bit more clip.
Estoy solo en mi casa y pasa esto. Si tienes miedo no lo mires, al final algo intenta atacarme.
After plucking up the courage to re-enter the building, Karim was greeted by much more demented sounds. Last time he could compare the sounds to something, but this time around they were indescribable, almost like they came from a mythical creature of some sort. Understandably, this was enough to send Karim running to safety, and he eventually came across a main road. He held his hand out until someone pulled over, and he asked them to call his friend to come and pick him up. Luckily, he did. Karim will never walk in that same direction again. Who knows what the spirit would do to him next time. Dogs, as well as cats, are known for having a sense that humans don't have. The sense to visualize beings from the paranormal world. There are countless videos on the internet of families, cute little pets, barking at absolute nothingness for hours on end, and even staring at seemingly walls. A lot of people believe that this is simply an act of boredom and an attempt to keep themselves entertained, but that's just foolish. It's spirits, and if the following video doesn't convince you, then I don't know what will.
That was hella weird. There's literally no way that door just opened by itself. Y'all, like, I really don't get freaked out, but that was really just... That door has a keypad lock on it. Like, and it's actually hard to get in. Dutch, where are you going? Don't leave me. There's like... What? Why did you just jump like that? Why did... Baby! Y'all, do you see her? What the fuck is going on? Yo!
For some strange reason, the dog started barking behind the door, and it looked very stiff. When a dog is stiff, it usually means that it is worried or frightened by something, and whatever was behind the door was likely the cause for this. What worried me was the fact that the poor dog was looking so high up. Whatever that thing was, it must have been massive, and the woman would be insane to not call up the local priest for the job. Let me know what you think about this scenario in the comments, but trust me, I am more than certain that something spiritual was enjoying her garden. CCTV is one of the best installments that someone can install into their home because they are so useful at deterring crime. They can help people look back at footage and see exactly what happened as many times as they would like to, which is huge in catching criminals in the act. However, in the upcoming clip, the woman decided to do this in order to try and find out who caused this phenomenon to happen. To her dismay, this is what she found on the camera. Literally no one. Somehow the curtain moved by its own accord, and the faint whisper of the words, "Get out," echoed next to the camera. This was most definitely the act of something from the paranormal world, but the lady who got spooked by it wasn't able to accept that this was the case. She hired people to dig through everything and try to find any trace of someone or something being there with her that night. But no matter how much money she splashed on these companies, none of them came back with any turnaround. She spent upwards of $300 before finally giving up on the search and deeming herself as crazy. Despite all of that, she still doesn't believe in ghosts. This security guard called Shane was working a night shift at the hospital when one of, if not the creepiest things of his life, happened there and then. According to Shane, the wheelchair in the corridor started periodically spinning at around 2 a.m. and had been for a few weeks. However, no one else on the staff team believed that this story was true. On this fateful night, he took it upon himself to capture the drama unfold and truly prove that he wasn't going crazy, and prove he did, because after this video, no one could deny him.
See, I fucking don't. No.
As if this piece of content wasn't already unsettling enough, that was the wheelchair ridden by an ex-patient called Sheila, who sadly passed away a few weeks prior. And remember what Shane said about the wheelchair moving, starting at around that time. Regardless of a ghost haunting their corridors, the staff get on with their day-to-day tasks, and it became tradition to say hi to Sheila once you walked past the corridor. They did their best to save her, and it was very saddening to see her death. On the other hand, refreshing to know that she was still living the life. On October 12th of 2017, a Spanish man by the name of Andre was home alone in the living room when he managed to accidentally get something on his camera. He was recording a funny Snapchat for his group chat of friends when suddenly the topic of the video took a huge drift for the worst. Andre described after this event that he would never go near his Rhino ornament ever again, and after taking a look, you won't hesitate to agree with his decision, so go on.
Amigos, son a 1:26 de la madrugada y estoy solo, ya van 3 veces que me tocan la puerta a mi casa y relativamente pues yo estoy solo, pero pues la verdad es que sí me da miedo. La neta no sé ni qué onda en mi casa y pues sí me da un chingo de miedo. Les juro. No mames, vete a la verga. No mames, no mames. Vete a la verga. No, neta, vete a la verga. Se acaba de caer esta madre. No mames. No mames.
What made this rather odd was the fact that the Rhino landed perfectly and didn't shatter in the slightest. It was a very fragile piece of art, and the seller warned the family to be careful with it. It made absolutely zero sense that it managed to fall from such a height without even a single chip. The leading theory to explain this is that the ghost behind the event quickly placed the Rhino on the ground so that no real gravitic potential energy was built up, hence why it didn't lash out when it hit the floor and exploded. It was a close call for the ornament regardless. It was on an online selling website just hours later. In the following video, a woman is sitting in the living room watching her hyper-realistic human dummy that her ex purchased for her. She was in the process of selling it because of how weird it actually was. However, I don't think the dummy was too fond of that idea.
This thing just moved.
Boy, all the talking heads would have been screaming about the Dallas Cowboys and sticking the fork in this organization. So again, kudos to the Cowboys going on the road, getting a good win. See how they win that move forward. But there's a saying in golf: there's no pictures on the scorecard. If you're down, you don't care if it's by $5 or green light. You just happy that you moved for 2 or 2. The injury to Parsons, and he didn't know anything at this point. He just left by a car without shoe off. How do you assess what that man is? The defense is struggling, but they're clearly not better if he's on the field. I mean, that would be, if he's missing any significant time, I mean, he's their better. He's their best player.
Oh my god. The door just moved.
33 propels 100 affordable housing laws, including
Early on, much more involved, particularly the safety over the top, and you'll see right down here.
A free personal Suzuki dessert. An entree plus free dessert, just $13. That's a sweet deal. There's a lot of involved.
Are you real? You can do it again. I won't watch.
Strangely, the dummy's hand moved by its own accord, indicating the possession of the toy. The woman claimed that this wasn't a first-timer, and it had done stuff like this in the past. Very creepy. Ali was watching some television in the living room when he discovered something absurd was taunting him. It was roughly 1 p.m. in the afternoon, the time of which you would least expect the paranormal to prosper. However, this wasn't the case for Ali.
Здравствуйте, это моя машина. Что хочу про нее рассказать? Опа, что там происходит? Бутылочка упала. Что это такое? Не понял. Что это там? Непонятно. Ого. Непонятно. Что там такое? Ого. Ай-яй-яй.
Seemingly out of the blue, Ali started to hear the noise of items dropping, which really confused him since nothing was visibly falling. It could have been his wife upstairs though, so he decided to pass it off as that and continue watching his show. Not the best decision of his life for sure. The banging carried on, except the location of them changed. What prior sounded like the bangs were above him was now occurring in the same room, and he decided to get up and investigate. It was at this moment that he witnessed a shirt moving by itself. Making things much worse, Ali called for his wife to ask what was happening, and he received no response. He later found out that she was doing some shopping to stock up the fridge. Someone or something was tormenting him that afternoon, and he still has no idea what it was, and he likely never will. While most spirits are discreet about their actions, others tend to be very out there, and that can definitely be said about the spirit in the next clip. Sufyan was working in a factory in the middle of the day, and this was deemed by him to be his most boring shift of the week. Barely anything went on during Tuesdays, and the shift consisted of sitting around and answering the odd phone call. However, the one-off incident in the following video was far from boring. I'm sure the employee would have still preferred the boring time though. Somehow, the ladder started walking off almost like a dog as its four legs moved in the motion that the domestic animals would do. This was very creepy, as it should have been impossible for a piece of equipment to move in such a manner. If there is one thing you have learned from this channel though, it is that when the paranormal gets involved, the impossible becomes more than possible. On October 13th of 2019, a couple were in the kitchen when one of the most absurd phenomena of their lives came to them. After the video, the woman explained that she no longer felt safe in the kitchen alone and always wanted her man in there with her, who surprisingly was not nearly as fazed. It was roughly 9 p.m. when the following footage was captured on their security camera. Take a look. The whisk managed to turn itself on without any human interaction, and this seemed very unlikely to have happened without a spirit. In order to activate the electric whisk, you would have to press down a button very hard because it was getting old and stiff. The couple could barely apply enough pressure to make it work, so it was almost impossible for something else to. Regardless of the odds though, the whisk prevailed and left the poor couple shivering. This wasn't enough to completely put them off the kitchen though, not that the next encounter wouldn't do the job.
Będziesz gotowy? Яйца пожарь.
If the last encounter with the spirit was not believable enough for the couple, then this one most certainly was. Not only did the stove activate itself randomly, the saucepan also moved over it, indicating that the ghost wanted to get its chef hat on. The man did come back with a very humorous response though, and it put the spirit right back into its place. He placed some eggs next to the scene, prompting it to cook them for him, almost like a servant. If that isn't an expert way to handle such a stressful situation for most, then I don't know what is. Vacation is the best part of most people's years, and it's understandable why. Traveling the world to experience new cultures, sights, and cuisines is interesting, refreshing, and fun. However, there is one key risk with taking extensive breaks: robberies. Burglars are smart and target homes of which the residents are far away, so that if they take action, it becomes highly unlikely that someone can prevent them. In our next clip, it featured a middle-aged woman whose best friends across the road were flying out to Europe from the USA. They gave her the house keys and asked for the building to be checked up on every other day, and they would return the favor once the vice versa happened, the woman going abroad. They both expected nothing to happen, and this was simply a safety precaution just in case of an event. To their dismay though, something did occur, but nothing they could have predicted.
No, no es normal eso. Ahí paró. Correte. Sí, porque no es que sube y baja así del...
Immediately after noticing that someone was in the house, the woman called 911 to report a potential robbery. The police were sent out to the building and gave it a thorough search. Nothing was missing, there was no sign of a break-in, and none of the lights ended up being turned on. The woman was fortunate to have captured a video, otherwise she would have been charged for a false report. After reviewing the footage, the police thought it must have been the shadows being casted, and the light was on because LEDs can quote-unquote glitch. I think we all know what really happened that night, though. In the following video, AG, a recent university graduate, was in his house about to take a shower. He had been through a long day at his part-time job and was more than ready to quit in 2 months' time before his huge gap year, where he was going to travel the entirety of Europe with his friends. This is besides the point, though. AG was tired, very tired, and all he needed was a relaxing shower to take everything off his mind. Regardless of this being a necessity, though, a certain spirit wasn't too chuffed with the idea. Randomly, AG heard laughter coming from all of the rooms around him, as well as several toiletry noises. From flushing toilets to dropping items, this spirit was not playing nice, and it had the man in complete confusion. In the end, he decided to pin it onto plumbing-related issues and called his local plumbing service to come and sort it out. He was a big believer in logical solutions and couldn't bring himself to see the possibility of it being a ghost. This would soon change, though. 2 days after the shower incident, AG was doing one of his main hobbies, playing the piano, when the same thing came to strike again. Have a watch.
Nggak masuk akal. Ini masih siang, masih jam 1:30.
Whilst playing, he suddenly heard a bang and went outside to investigate what it was. He was hoping that it was nothing to do with the infrastructure out there, as it needed some work doing. Fortunately for him, there was nothing there and no signs of any damage. However, all of his luck status vanished when he came back inside the house. First of all, the piano started playing on its own accord, and to make things even worse, a shirt slipped under the door in the most unnatural way possible. While all of these events officially made him terrified of the house, it wasn't enough to put him off of his piano hobby just yet though, and he went on to play for another day. Everything was okay during his next session, and nothing came of it whatsoever. However, he got too confident and started playing again after a break as small as 10 minutes. It was here that the spirit struck again. After hearing this evil kind of cackle, Eggy took a step back and really considered his life choices. Never in a million years would he have expected his piano of all things to be haunted, but he did not want to sell it. That piano was the one he used from day one. It was going to be the piece of equipment that traveled by his side from zero to hero, and he wasn't going to allow a silly ghost to ruin this. Angry, he went to his home gym to do some boxing practice. He usually practiced when mad because he could get the most out of his punches, but even this didn't act as a liable escape from the paranormal.
ada nyala, Cok. Nggak ada orang.
From the laughter to the piano, the exact same events were unfolding, and it began to seem inescapable for Eiji. This is when he decided to make the most impactful decision of his life, but not impactful in a good way. He listed his piano on eBay for a few $100s, and fortunately, it was sold and shipped very quickly. There was one thing that the buyer forgot to collect though, the spirit.
Ini jam berapa sih? 11. Jing dalam keadaan nyala ya. Ya Allah.
Now at first, the woman looked exactly like Eigi's girlfriend, but on camera, she vanished out of thin air. The real question is whether or not the cause of this happened to be a camera glitch. Considering the efficiency of that thing though, it was a highly unlikely possibility. Haunted exploration is a hobby that many people enjoy, but others actually get paid for it. Yes, one of the world's many professions include documenting paranormal activity, and the person in the following video did this. It was late at night, and Wataru, a Japanese ghost hunter, decided he would spend the day exploring the old house of an ancient cult. The cult died off 5 years ago, but many said that their spirits still haunt the house to this day. Wataru was paid by a few people who were curious for answers. On his 15-minute adventure, he came across a few things, but surprisingly, not as much as the audience expected from him. Today we'll look at one of the most prominent, which definitely left him believing that despite the cult being dead, they still owned the property.
Hello. Assalamualaikum.
Hello. Welcome. Turn off the lights. Welcome.
Turn off the light.
Hello. Welcome. Hello. Welcome. I was a child. Hello. Welcome.
Okay. Whoa. If you're outside, come on in. Show us your...
Shortly after greeting whatever could possibly have been in the room, something fell from a shelf, and this was very unnatural, considering the ground did not shake in the slightest. Paired with this, Wataru explained that he could sense a weird aura in the room, and his hairs stood up on his neck, which was a very clear sign that something of paranormal essence was there. It's safe to say that the house still hosted the cult, and Wataru made some decent money from his findings. However, he was spooked and considered quitting the job forever. We don't know if he followed through with this decision. In the following video, a man was in his house alone when an unknown entity decided to reveal its presence. It was 2 a.m. and Abdul was enjoying his night without his wife. He ate a lot of the food from the fridge and watched some television, but then he remembered he needed to iron his clothes as he had work in the afternoon of the next day. He went upstairs and grabbed the board, but it was when he came back that something shocking took place. Somehow, the board continuously moved without any human interaction, and Abdul was left completely and utterly stunned. He spectated the movement for a solid 10 seconds before deciding it was best to leave the room and go straight to bed. His wife told him off for not completing the ironing, but Abdul explained that it was more than worth it. He has never encountered anything similar since. The man in the upcoming piece of footage was actually in a similar situation to the one in the last clip. Abdul. He was called Alex, and he was home alone one night. His wife was out clubbing for one of her best friend's birthdays, and this understandably left Alex feeling quite restless and uneasy. He decided he wasn't going to sleep until she was finished up, and asked her to call if she wanted a pickup. She said she would. It reached around 1 a.m. in the morning, and Alex told his girl that if she didn't send a text by that time, he would start to get very worried, and lived up to that. He started wandering the house with his phone, begging for a phone call, but just as he was about to dial her number, the weirdest night of his life began.
Is anybody here? Oh my god, man. What the fuck? No fucking shit. Hello? I heard you. No. No fucking way. No fucking way. Oh my god. Hello? And I swear I just saw a fucking shadow moving here. So what's this fucking light switch? Oh man, I'm absolutely fucking shitting myself. No. That can't be. Fuck off. Holy fucking shit. Nah, fuck this, oh, no. Nah, fuck this, I'm out of here. Goodbye. Fuck this fucking...
First of all, the lights started flickering, but this could easily have been an electricity issue, so this wasn't any evidence of the paranormal. However, once Alex entered the kitchen, all hell broke loose. Literally. From cutlery flying to tables moving, Alex had no idea what on earth was going on and left the house immediately. He drove to the club to join his girl, and they stayed for another few hours before going back home. Nothing else happened when they arrived back. These security guards noticed a disturbance outside, so sent the head one, Haseb, to go and investigate. Hasib brought a walkie-talkie with him to make sure he could communicate with the others inside, who had cameras on every inch of the premises. This way, if any harm came his way, he could be notified in time to escape. He walked down the car park and looked around to see if he could find the black figure that they saw on the CCTV just moments ago. However, he didn't see anything. On the other hand though, the people on the cameras did.
Gerardo, fíjate detrás tuyo.
Perilla. Ma, usted está copiando el monitor, mae. Tiene algo. ¿Salió algo ahí?
Correcto. Aquí salió algo raro. Mae. Y véngase mejor.
Todo el día.
Strangely, a black figure seemingly riding a scooter could be seen behind Hasib, and the guards on the walkie-talkie quickly started shouting for him to turn around. With urgency, Hasib quickly turned to see what he was being asked to look at, but to his surprise, nothing was there. It had vanished. At first, he believed that the guards just played a trick on him, as it was a very banterful workplace. But once he came back inside, they showed him the footage. None of them can explain what happened to this day. Rachel was in her apartment on a Tuesday night when a boring day turned into an exciting one, but not the fun kind of exciting. She had experienced her first day of university lectures, and being honest with herself, she did not like it at all. Usually, when you are in a new class, it's a time to make new friends, and it turns out great. But unfortunately, she studied maths, and her class was full of antisocial people, not the best place for a good day. When she arrived back at her apartment, she kicked back and watched the new episode of her favorite show, but it didn't really go to plan because 15 minutes in, something crazy began.
Okay, hi. Sorry, I'm just watching something, but literally, hold on. There's no electricity in our place right now, okay? Turned it off, but I swear, shite. Okay, this door, Jesus, has been doing this literally all day. And look, the shite. Oh my god. Okay, looking out. Hello? What the fuck? Hold on. I'm going out there. Hold on, there's no light. Oh, I turned the flash on because I couldn't see shite out there. I have my epic mace. It's on. Okay. I swear. Blood of Jesus. Jesus. Oh my gosh, Jesus. Okay, this door always moves because of the wind. I'm not really worried about that. Hello? It's just like mad dark if I don't. Shit. Jesus, hold on. No. That, no.
Repetitively, the door started to bang and it really annoyed Rachel. She stood up to go and see what it was, but to her dismay, there was no one once she opened the door. On top of this, whilst she was standing in the corridor, a strange noise echoed down which freaked her out enough to turn back into her living room. This was the day that she found out her room was haunted. The following video was captured using the CCTV at a daycare and caught a very strange event unfolding. Usually when ghosts decide to haunt someone, they will move things and make noises to torment their victims. But they never become physical or break anything of value. At least not for most people. In the spine-tingling content you're about to see, a group of children were in the playroom being monitored by the security guard when they zoomed into something surprisingly weird. Take a look.
John, how is it doing that? John, how is it doing that? But wait, John, it's about to break on its own. It's gonna break on its own.
You have to watch it until it breaks. There has been no strike
Watch, John. Are you watching this thing? Yeah. It's not moving. No way. Oh, in there. No, watch. Watch, John. Watch. That hurts so bad. Nobody listens to me. There's ghosts in here. Nobody listens to me.
Watch it.
It's about to go crazy and break. It's still moving, y'all. It's still moving. It's still moving!
If it floats in the air and goes for the child, I'm gonna freak out.
And then it just moves. It's so good. It just came out. It chilled.
My hand's shaking. I can't.
How's this funny?
It's not like it's like this or like this. It's not like
Poor Brooke, get in the path of the demon.
She's like, maybe I should put my feet on the table.
I feel like I need to go away from this screen.
Oh my gosh.
What in the world?
We need to record this stuff out loud, dude. We need to make it to where we get a bit. We should send to the scary 100 people.
Nobody listens to me. There's ghosts in this building, and nobody listens to me. I don't know if it's demons. I don't know if it's ghosts, but there is something in this building.
Because I'm telling you, like we've seen, like 8 years, stuff has just disappeared.
Somehow, the queue started moving by itself and eventually smacked the table, which broke it into 2 pieces. For some reason, the children were not fazed by this, but the adults most definitely were. If you can come up with any logical reason for this happening, then let me know in the comments, but I'm certain it was the act of a spirit. Hamza was a young freelancer who was paid to go on ghost hunting missions, specifically ones who wanted them erased rather than detected. He had spent 13 years researching spirits and was a strong believer that he knew how to deal with them effectively. This is why so many people chose to pay him to do so. However, some spirits are much different than others, and perhaps Hamza had no experience with the type he was about to encounter because he handled it very poorly.
Uy, no mames, ¿qué fue eso?
¿Hay alguien?
¿Qué fue eso, amigos? ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? Oye, alguien corre, alguien corre, alguien corre. Alguien está corriendo.
¿Hay alguien aquí?
Miren, aquí hay puertas, como que alguien quitó la puerta.
¿Hay alguien aquí?
Uy, 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 se acaba de mover esto, amigos.
In case you didn't know, one of the worst ways a human can react to a ghost moving something is with fear, because all that does is empower the creature even more. Spirits, especially demons, feed off the fear of their victims, and Hamza fed it exactly what it wanted, hence why the next event happened.
Amigos, se acaba de mover esto. Y esto se movió.
¿En dónde estás? ¿Dónde estás? Queremos verte.
Se acaba de mover esto. Uy, 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 uy. Uy, uy, uy. Uy, uy. Ahí está caminando, amigos. Ahí está caminando, ahí está caminando. Ahí está caminando.
¿Hay alguien?
Uy, me caigo.
¿Hay alguien aquí? Si estás aquí, quiero que te manifiestes.
Uy, ¿qué fue eso? ¿Qué es eso?
Again, he made his inner fear very apparent here, and no wonder the mission came out as a failure, and he didn't make any money from it. It was a very odd experience for Hamza because he never got afraid of paranormal activity, but he kept reminding himself that maybe this creature was demonic, and that was a step too far. Some of the videos that you see on this channel can come off as so unbelievable that even I can't convince you otherwise. In the next clip, this may be the case at the start, but one segment changes everything. It was filmed on January 12th of 2017 and featured a bouncy ball in the decoration of a basketball. It's safe to say that something was wrong with it, and you are about to find out what.
Ahora también se hizo basquetbolista, ¿viste? Ahora también se hizo basquetbolista. Creo biencito se ve. Andás aquí. que está moviendo. Anda esa que está moviendo, te digo. No se sabe quién es uno. Mira, mira. Qué lo parió, ¿eh?
At first, the video seemed like a normal one. Balls are spherical, so of course they were going to roll around if placed onto a black tabletop. However, the way in which they did so was very unnatural. First of all, it constantly stopped and restarted, which shouldn't be possible. When the ball came to a complete standstill, a force must have been applied to make it move in a given direction again. On top of this, it started spinning in circles, which again shouldn't have been possible without the interference of another force. Was that force a spirit? Most definitely yes. This doctor had just finished prescribing one of his patients when he managed to secure an extra 30-minute break for being way ahead of schedule. He decided that instead of utilizing his break to the maximum though, he would use it to help some of the other doctors around the clinic by taking items to them and general help along those lines. No wonder he was awarded Employee of the Month so frequently. On this specific day though, I bet he regretted his kind actions because despite being a star for his peers, he put himself at the risk of a paranormal attack. Weirdly, a ton of items started collapsing around him, and his transportation tray moved by its own accord. This freaked the poor doctor out, and he quickly went to report the situation to the office, who reassured him they would look into it as he was such a valuable member of staff. We got no extra updates after this point. The Paranormal Team is a global group who investigate paranormal activity around the world. The group you're about to spectate on their journey was located in the United Kingdom and were posting content different from usual. The typical post on their YouTube channel would be the exploration of a famous haunted place, such as abandoned buildings and hospitals. However, in the one you are about to see, it was filmed in one of their friends' homes. Dave and Jen were a couple who were convinced that they had been experiencing paranormal activity over the past few months, and they were fortunate to have been friends with the Northern Paranormal Team of the UK. On the other hand though, they were unfortunate with what the team discovered.
Hi gang, we're at Jed and Dave's house doing another investigation because things have been seen here last year when we was up here. And it was quite creepy, so we're just going to do another investigation now, a little one. See what we can find.
We're using the night vision camera on the SLS, so that's why they're stood behind me, because we don't want to keep mapping them.
Exactly.
We want to see what we can map ourselves.
Just have a look around the room, Dave, you never know. We caught some orbs in here last time I was up here.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see some orbs now.
Yeah. You never know.
We're back.
It's stuck on two of the K2 meter.
K2, what was that?
Yeah, we've got Jed behind us doing the K2 and he's got a couple of lights on it, you know, so we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, all we can do is just keep going
so
past and see. Whoa!
What the hell? Did I just see something or am I imagining that?
I don't know, let's go.
What the hell? I don't know. To me it looked like a face. Dave?
I thought I saw something.
That was really quick,
That was
really
bad.
spooky.
That was.
I don't know, it seemed like a face, but I could be wrong, I won't say for definite.
What a face?
Yeah.
It seemed like one, yeah.
I don't talk bollocks. See the face?
I don't know, we'll have to look back on the video.
I'll have to review it, but that was really weird.
I just thought I saw something.
Peer around the door.
Peering, yeah, peering on the door.
Well, this is stuck on tin.
I know we've got a towel here.
Yeah, this is stuck on tin. The door.
But we've got a towel. Could it be that?
Well, no, because it never moved. It come out from the like a peekaboo and then went.
I wasn't looking. I just saw it at the corner of my eye. I went back and I didn't see anything.
You're scared because something scared you because you look back. You thought you'd seen something.
Let's check the kitchen.
Oh my God, what a house. Anyway,
To the kitchen. Yeah, house. I got to fucking sleep here tonight, mate.
Wow. God bless you.
Well, the good thing is he's not picking up any like stick thingies, so we can use the actual, night vision. That's weird. We're gonna have to look back on that. I'm gonna have to look back on that.
Definitely have to review that footage. That was insane.
Quick check. Yeah, we know it's a towel.
Towel can't move.
Yeah, we were in here. We were doing a quick zoom around. Check. Yeah, it's when I went past the door there. I know you. But yeah, I'm out.
This is stuck on 2 this. It's glitching to 3 now.
I'm wondering if it's a towel. It has to be the towel.
The towel can't move when it's on unless we
We're going to have to look back. We're going to have to look back, guys.
Right, well,
we're going to have to look back.
Come back later.
Right, so we'll come back later. I'll go back on the footage now. So I'm going to end the recording now. All right. Cheers.
If you look closely at the timestamp of 51 seconds, the face of a ghost could be seen peeking round the door, and this was solid evidence that the house was haunted. At first, the group weren't certain that this was the case, and blamed all sorts of factors, including the carpet. Regardless, once they reviewed the footage, they knew exactly what the deal was. Jen and Dave were far from safe. They moved out of their house the next month. In the following video, the man on the bottom is doing some simple Omegle trolling, like all people on the platform do. He got paired with 2 men from the same country as him, which was a relief due to how many English speakers used the platform. Little did they know that this pairing would document one of the weirdest captures ever on the website. In the beginning, the man at the bottom was telling the duo their names and address, and he somehow got both the answers right, which surprised the duo. It was what that happened moments later in the video that terrified everyone present in that Omegle call.
Hola. Hola.
Hola muchachos, ¿cómo andan? Para, yo a ustedes los conozco.
Pues a Argentina no hemos ido, ¿eh? Así que no...
Sí, yo los conozco. ¿Vos no te llamas Javi? ¿Y vos sos Juan o no? ¿Son de España o no?
Mi nombre lo pone ahí, que es mi cuarto, pero...
¿Son de España o no? ¿De Madrid?
Sí.
Sí, yo que ustedes no lo
Pero, puedes gastar la IP.
crean.
¿Tienes nuestra IP? ¿Eres de esos que buscan la IP y esas cosas? ¿Qué hace? Por este pago, bro.
Chicos, ¿les puedo hacer una consulta? ¿Ustedes qué estaban haciendo en su casa?
Pues nada. Esperar, que ahora vamos a salir de fiesta. Estoy solo en casa y le he invitado.
¿Solo?
Sí, solo. ¿Con el gato? Bueno, con él. ¿Y el gato que está abajo?
No puede ser, chicos. Yo vi que esa puerta que está enfrente se movió.
¿Cuál esta? ¿La de Javi?
Sí. Yo vi... No. Yo vi que la puerta que está enfrente suyo se movió.
Esa de ahí, nada.
Me juro que vi que esa puerta se movió.
No, mira. Nos está vacilando, o sea.
No, chicos, no. Yo lo vi con mis propios ojos. Yo vi que esa puerta de manera lenta se abrió y luego se cerró bruscamente, chicos.
Nos intenta meter miedo, ¿eh?
No les estoy mintiendo ni por mucho menos, por favor. Yo le juro que por mis ojos y por lo que más tengo en mi vida que esa puerta se movió.
Imposible, no hay nada. Así que, y mi gato está abajo. Es imposible que se mueva nada. Nos está vacilando. Literalmente es el típico... Se ha quedado pillado. ¿Qué le pasa?
Atrás suyo hay alguien.
¿Cómo que atrás? ¡Me cago en la puta!
The strangest part of this entire sequence was that despite being stared at by the men, the spirit still stood there strongly, leading me to believe it was on the demonic side of ghosts. Looking the ghost face to face in the eyes sparked so much fear into the duo that they immediately skipped, hoping that the entire thing was some crazy plot from the dude in the headphones. It wasn't. Due to no updates or no information on them, we have no idea what happened in the next chapter of this story. Spirits are known for their unique abilities to go undetected in homes, and the one you're about to see almost mastered that ability. It invaded the home of university student James's aunt, who fortunately had a nanny cam set up in her bedroom. She did this as she was getting fairly old and wanted a way for people to check up on her, but it wouldn't be her that the family ended up concerned about. On a random Tuesday, James decided to check the camera to see how she was doing, but was greeted with a much less familiar face. Take a look.
I don't know if I'm seeing shit or tripping, but check this out. So this is my aunt's son's room, right? There's no one in here, right? Nothing. Closet. Nothing. Got a nanny camera in here. Alright, now tell me, right on the monitor here, tell me that doesn't look like someone standing in the room. Like I've checked, like went back and forth 3 times, and So, okay, nothing, right? Like, what the fuck? I do not want to go back in there. I have an idea. Put this, like, right here. And put this right here. Alright. Okay, I saw a ball in the other room. I'm gonna go grab it. Okay. Make sure it's clear. Alright, let's see how this goes. Okay, alright. Fuck, there is definitely something in there. What the fuck?
If that whole story wasn't enough to freak you out, I have no idea what would do the trick. The fact that even while standing in the doorway he couldn't see the ghost, but the camera still detected it at the exact same time must have been a very spooky situation to be in, and he advised that his auntie took up his room and he'd sleep on the couch. They locked the door, and the ghost still stands there to this day, waiting for its day to be released once again. Geometry Dash is a huge game, and many YouTube videos related to it are uploaded every single day. One of the YouTubers in the Geodash scene is called Fanksy, and he comes from Italy, offering the content to the Italian speakers who enjoy the game, a very smart way to tap into a competitive market. His subscribers wait for new videos every week, covering all aspects of the game, but on a random day in July, they got something far from that. They received a paranormal documentation. To set the scene, Fanksy had been experiencing paranormal activity for a few weeks prior to the video, and decided the best option was to keep it private. He believed that even if he did upload some of it to his huge platform of fans, he would be called a faker and tarnish his reputation, something no YouTuber would want to do. Fortunately though, this did not happen.
Bene, ma direi che possiamo passare al prossimo livello di Damor, Fengsi 3. Proviamo ragazzi, sono curioso di vedere quello che accadrà. Dobbiamo scaricare la canzone. Ok ragazzi, fermi un secondo. Ho sentito un rumore fortissimo, ma io sono a casa da solo. Spero sia il vento, ma non credo, visto che io chiudo sempre tutto, perché altrimenti ci sarebbero casini mentre registro. No, non è possibile. Ragazzi, no, adesso vi devo far vedere. No, vi giuro raga, non è possibile. Allora ragazzi, sono andato a controllare cosa potesse essere il rumore. Stiamo un attimo calmi. C'è la luce del bagno accesa. Vi giuro, io sono a casa da solo, non so se lo potete vedere. Stavo registrando, ho sentito il rumore della porta chiudersi e c'è la luce accesa. Raga, non sto scherzando. Allora, entro. Raga, sto tremando, vi giuro. Allora, come potete vedere, non c'è assolutamente nessuno.
Somehow the bathroom door opened and slammed itself closed mid-recording, and Fanxi spent a good 1 minute emphasizing that he was the only one in the house. As well as this, he always asked Alexa to turn all the lights off when he was recording, and for some reason the bathroom one was on. Was this a technical error or something much, much worse? After investigating, he came to the conclusion that the cause of the door closing was the wind, and the reason for the light being on was an issue with his Alexa device. Both of these theories were false, but he didn't know that and decided to continue his recording.
Ok ragazzi, rieccoci. Non so cosa sia successo, all'improvviso la porta del bagno si è chiusa. Ragazzi, no vabbè, giuro adesso mi sto cagando in mano, però veramente. Raga, sto tremando, sta succedendo qualcosa di strano e non sto scherzando. Ragazzi, la porta l'avevo chiusa. Raga, si poteva vedere prima che ho chiuso la porta quando sono entrato. No raga, vi giuro. Che cavolo sta succedendo? Cioè, ha sbattuto a caso. Ma poi con quale violenza? No ragazzi, dai, ma non scherziamo. Ragazzi, c'è la luce accesa di qua. Ragazzi, era spenta prima, l'avete potuto vedere. Sono passato da qua ed era tutto spento.
Strangely, just moments after hitting the continue button on his Streamlabs, the door to his bedroom slammed in an aggressive manner, and this frightened him into screaming. What made things even worse was that it opened itself again afterwards, which should be completely impossible. Possibilities that can only be denied by the paranormal entities of the world. After seeing this, Fanxi knew that the spirit had made a return on camera and decided to set up some CCTV in the corner of the room. This way he would feel safe as he slept, and sleep he did. He stopped the recording as he was too shaken to act and called it a night. In the following video, Celsa, a married woman, was home alone waiting for her significant other to come home, when a very strange sequence of events decided to happen out of nowhere. These events were so weird that Celsa was left scared every time she was home by herself in the future and held this as a lifelong trauma. Now you may think she was exaggerating and that nothing except a tragedy could keep someone that scarred, but that's a very deluded way of thinking. Take a look.
Okay, I've been hearing noises. It's okay, Shh, sit down. You scared? Man. Sometimes I'm hearing noises. Sometimes things get thrown off the counter. I just want to make sure that you see nothing because this is really creepy. I'm so over it. Come on, John, hurry up and get home. Can you stop, please? Sometimes things get thrown off the counter. Sometimes the water gets on. turned on. It's really creepy. Who's it, Lucy? Who is it? I'm probably gonna go live as soon as John gets home so that I'm not scared while I'm recording. I don't want to touch it. That's just the cat box. Yeah, I'm gonna go live as soon as John gets here because I'm creeped out.
At first, she could hear noises coming from the kitchen, which made her and the dog look uncomfortable in the presence of it. After buckling up some courage though, Celsa went into the kitchen and found the drawers moving by themselves, not the sight she would have wished to see in this situation. She panickingly closed them and beckoned for her husband to hurry his way home. It was a long wait, and we weren't updated on what happened next. While most spirits are discreet about their actions, others tend to be very out there, and that can definitely be said about the spirit in the next clip. Sufyan was working in a factory in the middle of the day, and this was deemed by him to be his most boring shift week. Barely anything went on during Tuesdays, and the shift consisted of sitting around call. However, the one-off incident in the following video was far I'm sure the employee would have still preferred the boring time though. Clip. Somehow, the ladder started walking off almost like a dog as its four legs moved in the motion that the domestic animals would do. This was very creepy, as it should have been impossible for a person. If there is one thing you have learned from this channel though, it is that when the paranormal gets involved, the impossible becomes more than possible. Being in a haunted location is one of the most terrifying places you can find yourself in, and it's very obvious why. You can't even see what's haunting you. However, there are two ways you can be haunted, and the magnitude of fear varies a lot depending on this. First of all, you can be haunted in a building that does not belong to you. This is a much less scary experience because you can leave at any point and avoid the spirits for the rest of your life. On the other hand, you can be haunted in your own four walls, and this fear is incomprehensible. It is a long process to escape a haunting like this, and it makes you feel unsafe in your own home, which is one of the worst feelings on the planet. In the video you're about to see, a couple were in their own house when a spirit decided it was time to shine. An important mental note to make is that the couple had never experienced anything paranormal before, and this experience was very out of the blue. Take a look.
Okay guys, my lights have been flickering for like 2 minutes. We heard a baby crying, and Now they won't stop. 2 of the lights blew out. It's... What?
I think I just seen a shadow.
Where? Yo, I think I just literally seen the remote fall. Oh my god. I don't know what to do. I don't want to even move from over here. This is insane. Did you catch it on camera? Is anyone there? The TV's on. The blue light's on. Okay, this is great. What is happening? Hello? Hello? The other lamp just went off down there. Hello? Okay guys, I just cut the video because something literally rolled out of the dark in front of me, and my mom and I still haven't gone down there, so we're just staying in the flickering kitchen.
For a first paranormal experience, this one was of a very high magnitude. From moving objects to flickering lights all the way to device control, the spirit that this innocent couple encountered was extremely active for some reason. After about an hour of constant stress, though everything stopped almost instantly, they are still left wondering why this all happened to date. The following experiment was conducted on September 16th of 2018 and had a lot of meaning to the man doing it. His name was Carl Williams, and he had spent the past 3 months constantly being haunted no matter where he decided to visit, from his home to the park, all the way to his workplace. Paranormal activity seemed to follow him wherever he went, but he never actually decided to get some evidence. Carl believed that filming the ghost would give it too much attention and cause it to mess with him even more. But on September 16th, he knew he had nothing to lose. The test was pretty simple. Carl would place a variety of different objects on the floor and ask the ghost to move them on camera for proof of its existence, and the results were extremely shocking.
Because of the success of yesterday's little object test, I decided I'm going to give this object placement thing another try. I have tried a few items already, just before I got the camera out. I was just having a little play. I got a few twitches out of the candle. This one here, this moved around a little bit. Nothing as dramatic as the ball or anything like that. The remote I'm unsure about. I thought I saw it move, but I wasn't recording or anything, so I can't really verify it. So I'm going to try them both again and just see what we capture. Really, same situation as before. I'm on my own, and I'll try to stay in camera so you know it's not me. Right, we'll start with the candle first, and basically just pop this down here. Okay, if there is anything here, can you please move the candle for me? Anything at all, could you please move the candle? No, that's strange. I thought that one would work.
Despite the experiment sounding promising in Carl's head, nothing happened, and he was left stunned sitting on the floor. However, as I explained earlier, he had a variety of items to test out, and it would be the second one where he got his evidence delivered.
Okay. Wasn't sure about this one, but I'll give it a go. If there's anything in this... No. See that? No strings attached. That one was different. The things it's shifted it before, but it's never just thrown it like that. Yeah, it's
weird.
Without even asking the spirit to move the remote, it understood the assignment and launched it. This startled Carl because he claimed that it didn't usually move things in that kind of manner and was ordinarily chill and slid things. Maybe he was right all along. Perhaps filming the ghost did fuel it to new heights. Let me know what you think in the comments. In the upcoming video, YouTube channel Ghostek Paranormal Investigations were making one of their videos, and based on their name, you should be able to guess what this video was. The crew were investigating yet another haunted location. The place in this video was an old location called the Viaduct Tavern, and was known for having some of the most poltergeist activity in England. It was a still occupied pub that the YouTube channel paid to have access to for the day, and after they left, they had so much spiritual evidence that the owner was forced to sell the place. Here I'm going to show you one of the unexplainable events that happened on that day, and if you don't believe in ghosts now, you most definitely will afterwards.
Did you hear that? It was like a door moved. Hello? The sound of a door moves from somewhere nearby. Here is the enhanced audio taken from Static Cam 3 covering the hallway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Strangely, the group heard the noise of a door opening upstairs, followed by some heavy footsteps. The weird thing was that they were the only people in the building, and they had cameras set up to prove that no one was in the corridor where this happened. Do you buy that this capture was real? I most certainly do, but I'm willing to be turned away from my beliefs in the comments. On March 5th, during an unknown year, a family of 4 were fast asleep at night when they were disturbed by the youngest member screaming. She was called Layla and struggled to fall asleep, so decided to have one last play with her dolls before rolling into a slumber. However, something under her bed had a much more different idea to get her tired. You know the saying of monsters being under the bed. Well, this clip perfectly resembles that saying, and next time you hear someone say, "they have them," you'll have to think twice before calling them out for being crazy.
Sure, I'll play with you. Go let you play. Yeah. Bling, bling, bling. Bling, bling, bling. Bling, yum, doo, doo.
Almost like a lure, the girl's singing doll started playing music, and Layla got scared that it would wake her parents up too early. She sneakily climbed out of her bed and tiptoed under her bed, but when she went in head first, something grabbed her. Fortunately, her mother came to save the day. Like any normal and functioning human being, she brought the daughter out and locked the room closed for 2 whole days. However, after a bit of peer pressure, she decided to take her first look under the bed and regretted it dearly.
So I've been getting a lot of questions. People have been asking me, have you been in the room? Have you guys looked under the bed? No, we haven't. We haven't been in the room in the last 2 days. We've been a little scared. This is scary now. Oh my god.
As weird as this may have been, the doll moved by its own accord when she looked under the bed, and understandably, the mother dashed back outside and locked the door. Since then, the door has stayed locked, and the family are always in fear that it could escape one day. They are constantly thinking of how to trash it, whilst making sure it doesn't find its way back. Babies are the most innocent people on the planet, and it always hurts to see them being involved in these paranormal videos. They don't deserve it, and are too young to understand what is actually going on, which isn't acceptable in the slightest. The video you are about to witness is one where a poltergeist messes with a baby, and it is really upsetting, so beware. Out of nowhere, the sound of blowing could be heard, and the baby's hair moved. What happened here is definitely up for speculation, but I'm certain it was the act of a ghost. Edward, a strong believer in the paranormal world, had been experiencing paranormal activities for the past few months. Eventually, he had enough of the repetitive disruptions and decided to keep track of them through using a YouTube channel. Here he would upload his documentations, whether that be first-hand phone footage or stuff from the security, and gather a binder of evidence for his local church, of which he wished to inform of the incidents. Here is one of the pieces of footage his cameras managed to capture.
Sunday the 19th of July.
Strangely, this ghost was extremely energetic and did things at an extraordinarily fast rate. It threw all sorts of items to the ground, including cutlery, which is dangerous considering Edward had a dog which would know no better than to stand on a fork or something silly like that. Edward brought this video to his local church in hopes that they would bless the household of any evil entities, and they happily did so. It is unknown whether or not this was a success or not. In the following video, an electric company came to visit a house that was being sold to new owners. They were paid to check up and fix any issues with the electricity, and their pay would fluctuate based on how many problems they actually ended up finding. During their stay, they discovered 4 electrical issues and got them fixed for the current owner. But there was one problem that could not be changed, no matter who was hired to make an impact. There was a paranormal entity present. For some strange reason, the ladder continued to move on its own accord and creeped away from the location that it was initially set in. This, for more than obvious reasons, freaked out the electrician in the room, who went on to show his clients the footage, and then the boss reported it to the owner. They negotiated a $50 pay rise for the inconvenience and finished the tasks on the day. The house was eventually sold to a new family, but little did they know what they were in store for. Children's toys are some of the most wholesome objects on the planet, designed to make little ones smile. They come in all sorts of forms, from dolls to cars, all the way to smaller instrument variations, so it's safe to say that there is a toy for every child imaginable. However, there is one instance that these toys become some of the most demented and uncomfortable things known to man, and the upcoming video is an example of this. Out of nowhere, once the man entered the room, the toy car jolted to the side, which made no sense considering it was not designed to move. Even if it was, he revealed that it had no batteries inside it, which also made the voice it made impossible. The toy was doing far too much that it shouldn't have been able to, so the father immediately pinned down the cause to being a paranormal entity. Was he correct? I guess we'll never know. But what we do know is that the toy truck is long gone. In a recent video on this channel, we explored the household of Letitia, a young French woman who had been experiencing a surge of paranormal activity out of nowhere. This paranormal activity led her to discover a key which opened up the basement of which the previous owner stated they lost the keys for it. Regardless of whether they lied or genuinely thought that the keys were missing, Letitia ventured into the basement to see what was up with it, and it had a very odd feeling to it. It actually used to be an air raid shelter during the Second World War, and an unfortunate amount of people passed away in there. This perfectly explained the weird aura to it. After exploring, Letitia vowed to never enter the basement again and relocked it. She did keep the keys though, but there was one thing she didn't choose to keep, her vow.
C'est bon, je vais enlever l'échelle pour plus qu'il y ait des gens qui rentrent chez moi. Oh là là, ça fait trop peur. C'est par ici qu'ils doivent rentrer. J'ai des squatteurs chez moi, genre les squatteurs qui rentrent par ici. Ah, c'est bon. Donc maintenant les squatteurs ils vont plus jamais rentrer. J'espère que c'est fini cette histoire, genre. Donc je ferme et je récupère la clé. Je reviendrai plus jamais ici. Normalement il n'y aura plus de squatteurs. Parce que là, je crois que j'ai jamais vécu ça de ma vie. C'est vrai. La maison date de 1970. Franchement, c'est grave. J'ai trop envie de rentrer chez moi. Je fais que des cauchemars depuis que je suis ici. Regardez la tête des tableaux. Regardez à quel point ça fait flipper. J'ai remarqué il n'y a pas longtemps qu'il y a une empreinte ici. Là, on la voit bien. On la voit bien, regardez. Regardez.
Just 3 days after making her vow to never visit the basement again, she was down there, and this time she gave a more thorough search. In case you didn't watch the last video with Letitia featured, the first time she tried to enter, some kind of force pushed the door shut against her, so she was confident that someone was down there. Despite this confidence though, this search did nothing, and she walked back inside, confused with her confusion only being amplified from that point. Weirdly, some music started to play from the radio, and this made zero sense, because Letitia lived home alone. Unless her house had been burgled, it must have been a ghost that activated it. No one was in there. She had clearly released the spirits from the basement into the houser, and this scenario wasn't the only time that this became evident. On September 10th, 24 hours after the music played, Letitia was fixing something when some clutter could be heard from the kitchen. You know she had to go and investigate it, so she did, but what she came across was far from anything she could have ever dreamt of.
Je vais m'enfermer dans ma chambre. Oh la vache. De toute façon, tout ça c'est fini. En septembre, je rentre enfin chez moi. Je vous jure. Il y a la spatule qui est tombée par terre, genre. On est où?
Immediately after hearing the bang, she went into the kitchen and found that her spatula had somehow collapsed onto the floor. As well as this, many other objects chose to move in front of her very eyes, leaving her kitchen a mess. When an item fell from the cupboard, Letitia was sent running back to her bedroom in fear before locking the door closed. If the other events weren't enough to convince Letitia her house was haunted, this one definitely did, and she decided that it was time to take action on the spirits. She watched some YouTube tutorials on how to combat certain ghost types, and one came up for war ghosts, which she assumed these ones were. She listened to what it had to say.
Je suis retournée dans la maison hantée et on va essayer d'enlever les esprits qu'il y a dedans. Donc j'ai pris de la sauge, du sel. On va faire brûler la sauge, les gars, on va faire brûler la sauge. C'est bon. Les gars. Mon cœur, il bat à 3000. Écoutez mon cœur. Les gars, vous entendez mon cœur?
A shadow figure could be seen if you paid close attention to the glimpse of light by the door. It appeared to peek around the doorway at Letitia before slowly easing away once she turned in its direction. Fortunately, she missed out. This was the last video on the topic uploaded by the woman, although she did make a vow to continue updating us. If we've learned one thing about her from this story though, she doesn't keep vows, and it doesn't usually leave her in a good place. Marcus was searching an old sports stadium when he heard some repetitive banging coming from the changing rooms. The stadium was supposed to have nobody else present since it was no longer being used, but Marcus and his group really started to question this fact when this happened to them.
Bueno, ya son como las 11 de la noche y la tercera vez que estoy escuchando este ruido de mierda. No sé qué está pasando, pero lo quiero grabar ahora para que después me crea la gente, porque esto nunca me pasó y nada, lo quería grabar, qué sé yo, estoy podrido, la concha de la lora. Tengo mi linterna, no sé para qué enviar la tele. Dios, puta que te parió. Puta que te parió. Concha de la lora. La concha de la lora. Pero como mierda puede ser que no haya nada hoy. Ya es la tercera vez. Tercera vez que entro y no hay nada. Dios, me quiero ir. Me quiero ir.
Randomly, they started to hear banging noises coming from the ground floor, and staying cautious, they ventured into the unknown. They came across a wooden door, and to their confusion, it was opening and closing itself repetitively. This was something that none of them could explain. Instinctively, they walked into the room to find out what on earth was going on, and found nothing. Surprisingly, the stadium had no background lore which could point into the direction of paranormal activity. Such an event was completely out of the blue and still goes unexplained to this day. The piece of footage you are about to see was captured using a vehicle's dash cam and was very fortunate to have been caught. The incident lasted a singular second, so it was the definition of blink, and you miss it. Luckily for us, cameras don't blink. It was 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night, and a man who had just finished work was driving home. His drive home was the most eventless time of the day, but he enjoyed it for that very reason. The lack of cars on the roads meant that he could drive a lot faster than usual and get away with it, the true dream of every driver. However, despite the smooth roads, there was something present that nobody on scene would have expected. Take a look.
She can go meet up with him and see if she can get him to confess. And it's a tough decision, I'm sure, but Amy ultimately agrees. So she wears the wire, and she picks up Chuck, and she...
Early on in the clip, the faded figure of a human crossing the road could be seen, which was very clearly not a real person. If it was, then a car would have hit them. Which one didn't? This was very clearly a spirit having some late-night fun. Some of you are likely not convinced yet though, and I don't blame you. The amount of false sightings on this website are abundant, and you can't trust anything or anyone. Don't worry, this time we found some extra evidence.
So this is a follow-up video on my last TikTok, the one right before this, about the paranormal sighting that I seen. Just for people that are a little leery, thinking it was a person and not that it was some paranormal, some figure, some something. This just kind of adds into it that it probably is some type of paranormal thing. I had another driver reach out to me after I posted it on Facebook that he was going through there about 20 minutes before I did with another driver right behind him, and they seen the same thing as I did, but they just didn't catch it on camera. And today, at the same time as we went through there, there was a car accident, multiple cars. 2 people ended up dying. 2 people went to the hospital. Well, the 2 people that went to the hospital they gave a statement that they seen a white figure in the road, and that's why the one car swerved into the other car. And this was around the same exact time, but 1 day later than when I seen it and he seen it. And his brother's a state trooper and told him this. So I'm sure we'll be able to get these statements at some point in the future. But this just adds on to, this might be real. This might not be somebody just walking in the road, because they said they tried to pull the cameras from the interstate and there was nobody walking in the road at that time. So you guys go ahead and pause and read that. Tell me this shit don't make sense. Tell me this don't make sense. If anybody knows anything else about this, it was on Illinois Highway 57 going northbound right after the 340, right in Markham, Illinois. Right after the 340 is where this happened. 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row. So y'all tell me if you know anything about any of this, or comment whatever you guys think about it, but it just keeps getting crazier and crazier.
The night after that incident, the faded spirit had another sighting, and this time around it caused an entire crash. I'm not going to reinstate what the man said since he already explained the situation, but what I will say is that you are crazy if that wasn't enough evidence for you to believe this scenario happened.